Hey folks, Kevin here. November 19th, 2022. I did get the front end loader off of Optimus Maximus, which is a Grand L6060. And the front end loader is an LA1055. I got that off, and there'll be some video footage that I'll shoot after my initial introduction here to go over everything. But there's a few things I learned about after removing the front end loader about making it easier for me to work with and to attach and detach the subframe and the implements that are hooked to it. So the subframe down here, this unit that goes underneath the tractor, I'll be showing you some footage and narrating over it in just a moment. But this subframe is the L4554A. L4554A, fully operable, hooking to any implement, the PTO, the hydraulics, and the electronics. It can hook to a broom, a flail mower, I don't know how many ways, 6-way blade, I think it is, and also the snowblower. And the snowblower is all that I have right now. But you can attach and detach from any implement in front of this from inside of the cab with the pressing of one button, which is awesome. And that part I got used to last season, and I snowblowed all last season. I used the front end loader and the tractor for hauling all summer. And so my goal in this video is show you some of the caveats I had with, okay, after removing the front end loader, what could I have done differently that took me 43 minutes to do, that probably would only take me about 6 minutes to do if I knew then what I know now. And I also had a problem operating it afterwards, something that I was aware of before, but I forgot. And I actually had to have the technician, Jordan, come out from Blazy's in Palmyra, New York. Blazy's is the Kubota dealer that I purchased all of my tractors from in Palmyra, New York. Absolutely awesome. But back to it. So what's going to show up next is some video footage, and I'm going to explain in that process how the subframe gets attached to the tractor, and then how the snowblower gets attached to the subframe. Attaching the snowblower or any implement to the subframe is super easy, no problems. But getting the subframe on, getting the electronics, so there's an electronic plug right here that has to be attached. There's these hydraulic lines here. There's 2 front pins, one on either side here. That's why there isn't a big brush guard here, because this mounting part mounts on the front of the tractor here. And also there's a set of pins mid-mount here as well. So in order to operate this, the PTO part of it, there is a mid-point right about here on the tractor where there's a mid-mount PTO shaft that sticks down just a little bit below the level of the frame of the tractor. So that sticks down a little bit, and there's a drive shaft that has to be hooked onto it with the subframe, and that's what I'll be going over in the video. But there's one thing, after getting everything hooked up right, the discharge chute here, it swivels by hydraulics, so there's a hydraulic motor right here that goes ahead and pivots the discharge chute to the left or to the right, and then there's a hydraulic cylinder right here which changes the angle of the discharge chute. And so on the hydraulic control arm here, so we want to raise the implement or lower the implement. That's the way to do it. And we probably, most of us are familiar, if you push it all the way forward, it's in detent, which allows the implement on the front of it, whether it's your front end loader or whatever, to float over the surface. There isn't any complete down pressure or lifting force on it. So this is in floating mode. So and this button right here is the third function button that operates the grapple, which activates the grapple. This button here is the one that actually controls the switch between the ability of the chute to go right to left and switches between that ability and to raise and lower the discharge chute, so you can change the angle and all. And this has been absolutely fantastic. Well, the thing that I forgot about last year is that when I want to, let's say, when I'm in the swivel action, when I want to go to the left, I push it this way. When I want it to go to the right, I pull it this way. Actually, it's the opposite because I'm sitting on the other side. But it wouldn't work. And I actually had to have Jordan come out, and he immediately got it and just went like he should have, which is almost like a detent, like this is, you lock the front float in. So when you're using the front end loader, you're just going like this or like this to use the front end loader. But when you're using the hydraulics on the discharge chute, you actually have to go all the way over into a detent position in order to get the equipment to function properly. I'm sorry if this doesn't make clear sense and all, and I'll try to make videos in the future about all the other controls inside of this. This is absolutely a fantastic, it's sort of a dream machine of a tractor to be using and all. So I just wanted to share that in case anybody gets a piece of equipment similar to this and runs into a problem where, oh, it's only going one direction. I can't get the chute to go to the other direction. It'll only go left, or it'll only go right, or it'll only go up, or only go down. It's because you've got to take your hydraulic control arm there and actually push it all the way over into detent position. So what's going to come up next is we're going to go ahead and show you how we're hooking up the subframe down here and the challenges with that. Remember, the snowblower itself is an L4479. There are other implements. There's a flail mower that can go on the front of this. There's a broom that can go on the front of this, and there's a multi-angle. I think it's 6-way angle. The loader goes up and down, and maybe it only goes left and right with the snow plow that goes on the front of this. But the key thing about this is when you switch from implement to implement, you do it with one button inside of the cab that attaches the PTO, the hydraulics, and the electronics. So there'll be some video footage coming up next with my narration as well, trying to explain where I could have improved with attaching the subframe to the tractor itself. Okay, so I'm about to detach or remove the front end loader from the Grand L6060. This is a LA1055 front end loader. The first thing to do is make sure that you're on level ground, and that's really important. Second thing is raise the front end loader up and unhook the stationary pins that hold the stands to store the front end loader and put it down into the storage mode, which I just did. Now I'm pulling the front end loader a little bit forward. I'm going to lower it down to where the stands are just off the level of the concrete. Instead of sitting in the cab of the tractor, I'm just going around to the other side to control it from the outside, the hydraulics. So the thing you want to do is empty the bucket or uncurl the bucket. That's what I'm going to do, and have it touch the ground. But first I'm going to lower the whole arms a little bit further, get those stands closer to the ground, and then I'm going to go ahead and push down on the bucket, which releases the pressure on the pins that hold the front end loader attached to the tractor itself. Once I remove the pins from each side, the front end loader is no longer mechanically attached. Now I relieve or curl the bucket, and that raises the arms of the front end loader out of the stationary pockets where the pins held the front end loader to the front of to the tractor itself. And you can shut off the tractor now, relieve all the pressure in the hydraulic lines, going back and forward and side to side with the hydraulic control arm. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a clean rag and detach each one of the 5 hydraulic lines. I'm sorry, 6 hydraulic lines. So as I clean them, I'm cleaning the caps as well. So there's both female ends and male ends. Cleaning those to make sure they're nice and clean so that they can all be stored. So during the winter months, I don't have to worry about dust or dirt getting in them. And then I can back the tractor out and get ready for the next phase. Now you can see Thea and I are working together here. Thea's trying to keep an eye on the back of the subframe there to make sure it's low enough that I can drive over the mid-mount PTO shaft attachment site so that I don't wipe that out. We have to get further ahead on the subframe, and I readjusted it there. You may have seen there's a bit of a difference. And Thea's directing me, so I pull far enough forward. However, there's two things that are wrong with what I've done here so far. So when I stored the subframe and the snowblower, what I should have done was kept the subframe attached to the snowblower, because when the subframe is detached from the snowblower, that lowers the front end of the subframe. It's actually held higher when it's attached to the snowblower or whatever other implement that there is. So I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm taking the hydraulic lines around right now, putting them through their appropriate location to hook up to the tractor. There's actually 5 lines that have got to be hooked up. 2 lines go to the discharge chute that turn it from left to right. And then there's 2 lines that go to the hydraulic cylinder that raises and lowers the discharge angle of ejection of the snow for it. And then there's a 5th hydraulic line that returns the hydraulic fluid back to the reservoir for the hydraulic system. So at this point, the next thing I want to do is hook up the electronic plug, which is right near where Thea is standing now. And I'm going to go down there and try and hook that up. But the electronic plug won't actually hook up. So I'm down there trying to hook that up. And the reason is because the subframe is not far enough forward. Even though it looks like it's in the right location, because it's not elevated a little bit, that electronic connection won't connect. So the way that you hook it up to your tractor is you push down on the hydraulics of the front of the A-frame, and that will raise the back end of the subframe, where I can take the drawbar that you would pull a trailer or whatever, and you can shove it forward to attach the back of the subframe to the drawbar, and that's the first mechanical attachment back there. Now I've discovered that I need to go further forward in order to hook up that PTO shaft. So before hooking up your mechanical attachments to the subframe, you want to hook up the PTO shaft. And it was too short because I wasn't far enough forward, because the jack stand wasn't up, and because the subframe was not attached to the snowblower. It took me a while to figure out why that wasn't working. Once you put downward pressure on your hydraulics up front, you're easily able to set the 2 front pins into the appropriate location, and then there's a secondary pin that holds those pins in. So that's something Thea and I are doing right now, is we're putting those pins in to keep everything in the appropriate location. Again, the 2 things that I did not do when I took this equipment off of the tractor was I should have left the snowblower attached to the subframe, and I should have put down the stand, which is just a simple little like a little jack stand that holds the back of the subframe up in the air a little bit, and that would have allowed everything to get in perfect alignment. Now, because everything wasn't still in perfect alignment, the mid pins, the ones that I'm getting in right now, that mid pin where Thea and I are right there, actually did slide in pretty quickly, but I kept having to raise and lower it to try and get the one in on the side I'm under the tractor on right now. And I could not get that in because the front frame, when you look at where it attaches to the implement, it actually is a little bit higher on the far side, the left-hand side or the driver's side of it, and I ended up having to put a 2x4 under the subframe in the front. Had I left it attached to the snowblower, I wouldn't be having the trouble on the side that I'm in now trying to get that pin to slide into its appropriate location. So it took quite some time, and I ended up raising the front of the subframe up, putting a 2x4 underneath it, and then pressing down on it to get the pin all the way in. So that was a hassle. So the main story is there goes the 2x4. Now I push it down. Now the pin goes in easy. The main story is do not remove the implement from the subframe. Leave it attached. Or if you do remove the implement, put something like a 2x4 under the front of the subframe when you take it apart, and make sure that the stand is down on the unit as well. Now it's just one button to hook up to the snowplow itself or the snowblower, and everything's all hooked up with ease. The PTO, the hydraulics, and the electronics. So that's it for today's video, folks. I hope you found this of value. Thanks for watching and have a great day.